did not deserve. A free, undeserved gift that helps lead us closer to vocation. That's what grace is. That's what grace is in our lives. You know, when God first created us, created humankind, when he made Adam and Eve, he gave us a home. It was a wonderful home. It was God's home. But you know what? Somewhere along the way, we remember from the story of the garden, Adam and Eve decided to walk out, and they had no keys. And they were out in the cold. They were out in the wilderness. They were doomed. But you know what? God still loved them. He still loved them, despite that. And he opened the door for them again. He opened the way for people to come back into the garden, to come back to the kingdom. And so not only did he open the door, he took the hinges off, and he threw the door away that we might come back in. But you know, these many thousands of years later, people still had a hard time realizing the door was even open, and they stayed in the cold. That's why Jesus Christ came. God came among us, to live among us, not because we deserved it, because we didn't. Not because it was going to cost us in the end, because it didn't. He paid the price. He died that we might have life. And he gave us life. He gave us his life to invite us back into the home, back into heaven. The door was wide open. Jesus, when he died, he didn't want to leave us alone. He wanted to leave us something where he could still reach through time and space to touch us. A real grace, that which we do not deserve. But he comes to us where we are, how we are, as we are, because he still loves us. And he gives us the sacraments. He gives us the sacraments of the church to give us his life. A sanctifying grace, where his life, his divine life, a constant life that he gives to us, our souls can share in his life, and we can live by his love. That's what he gives to us. That's what he gives to us today and every day, through the sacraments. Through baptism, it's not just about water being poured. It's about God putting his Spirit and a seal on our hearts and making us alive, claiming us as his children. It's about confirmation, where God, once again, through that sacrament of oil and laying on of hands, can stir the Spirit within you to give you new life and to give you gifts. It's about reconciliation when we miss the mark and we go outside, that God welcomes us back again into his life. Gifts. They're not just merely empty rituals. They are powerful graces God gives us to participate in his life in a very special way. In fact, sometimes people say, as we define sacraments, it's an external sign, instituted by Christ, given to the church to bring us life to the fullest, to bring us into God's life. And that's what they're about. But you know what? Sometimes because we don't see them, I guess we can't hear them in some ways, we don't see quite readily why we're given external signs, but it points to a greater reality. That's why someone once said, you know, if you had orange juice in the morning, somebody came in and poured poison in it, mixed it up, perhaps you couldn't smell it. Perhaps you wouldn't be able to even taste it. But I'll tell you what, if you drink it, I guarantee it's going to have an effect on your life. You will probably get very sick. You may even die, because it has the power to do so. The sacraments of the church, it's the ways that God reaches out to touch us, to hold us, to allow us to participate in his grace, to participate in his life, in his friendship, and in his love. Jesus became access to the Father and to the heavenly kingdom. And it's a grace because grace is that which we do not deserve. It is given freely because he loves us. And that's a powerful reality that we come before this day. Because God has taken the hinges off the doors, the gates of heaven, to allow us to come back if we would like. To allow us to come in, he is calling us, and what a more beautiful thing can we ever think of than that. That's what God does for us. In fact, when we talk about life, a lot of people promise life in many different ways. But only Jesus is the source of life. It is only he that will give us life.